So I received a package from a company by the name of DIVASWIGS. You guys have seen me work with this company before. They give you this beautiful white box, and inside you have your goodies. You have your instruction manual. You have your brush. It is embossed with their logo. They give you these netted wig caps, and then also they include your nice, beautiful, brand new wig, and it comes in a really nice bag that you can keep for storage. First thing I like to do is brush the wig out and kind of see what's going on with it, make sure it's not shedding, doesn't smell weird, anything crazy. In the inside of this wig, you have 3 combs in the front, 1 in the back, as well as adjustable straps. The wig did come pre-parted, but it's an actual full lace wig. Y'all, it's so lit. I'm so excited to slay. I'm going to be teaching you guys step by step how to go ahead and tweeze out this hairline and look natural, beautiful, slay for the gods. Really slow. I'm going to go slow. I'm not going to go too fast. I'm going to take my time. So grab your popcorn or your notes. Let's take notes and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is add the elastic band. I'm not going to be using ghost bond or anything crazy. And I want to be able to take the wig off, you know, day by day. So the first thing I do is I measure out how much elastic I'm going to need ear to ear. Cut that piece off. This one is 2 inches and I have it linked down below. Now the rule of thumb typically for my head is wherever those 2 side combs is, I'm able to place it right there, and it always fits perfectly. So taking note of the angle that I have it, I pretty much have it going the opposite way of the comb, but lying directly in the front. Now originally I had it placed a little bit over to the right, and as you guys see, there's a little strip right there. That strip is like a hard piece of like plastic or something like that, so I didn't want to go over that because that strip is kind of a marker, and that basically goes behind the ear. So I decided to move the elastic up a little bit to make sure that it doesn't interfere or go too far back. Now on the opposite side, if you just go ahead and stretch the elastic over there, it's going to move and keep, you know, flying off. So I did use T-pins to keep it in place while I sew. After you've sewed your elastic, go ahead and cut off the excess lace in the back. It's going to be pretty tough to do that with the wig on, so you want to do it and be able to not cut the hair. I adjusted the straps. And I'm also going to cut off a little bit of the lace. This lace here is behind my ear, so it's just easier to cut it super neat while the wig is off of my head. Now I'm going to take a foundation powder of my choice that blends in good with my skin. This one is a L'Oreal powder. Great because you're not using your face powder, so it's just easier to not, you know, mess up or, you know, use up your expensive powders if that's a preference. I find that this one works flawless for my skin. I don't use this foundation particularly on my actual skin too often, but I find that whenever I use the foundation that I actually use on my skin, sometimes it's way too red, but perfect on my skin. Don't know why that is, but I buffed that all into the center area, and as you see when I first put the wig on, the lace looks super natural and close to my skin. Now, the more powder you put, it will conceal the knots on it, but sometimes if you just put a light coat, it won't. Can we get a load of a moment of silence for this beautiful, gorgeous luster. I can't even say it. I'm so flabbergasted. But the texture of this hair is silky. It's super long. I believe this is 22 inches, and it is a beautiful. So again, I like to brush out the hair a few times throughout this process just to kind of test it and make sure it's not going to tangle or shed or do anything crazy. I just slow it down so you guys can get a load of this. Again, this is a full lace wig. What the difference is, the lace in the front you can access and you can kind of buff powder into it, but the lace in the back is covered by like a cloth, or I'm not sure what it would be called, but most lace wigs are like this, where you can't buff powder into it in the back just like the way you do in the front. So like how you see lace here, you'll actually have to go in manually with your powder and kind of buff it in from the outside opposed to trying to put the powder in the inside. And that's just, you know, just how it goes. They gotta basically put something stronger in the back so you're not ripping your wig, you know, the same day you receive it. So now we're gonna do a tutorial on how we tweeze out the hairline and make it super flawless. First step for me is pulling the hair back so I'm not accidentally you know, pulling out the wrong area. I can see my work clearly. I like to spray it down with water. This also helps me to see exactly where I'm working super clear, and then, you know, I go to work. You have to make sure that your tweezers are super sharp. If yours are dull, you can send them into the warehouse if you get them from SHERMAN. Otherwise, just get you a fresh pair from Sally's. The ones at the counter are like $3 and they're super duper sharp and work really, really good. At this point, this right here is pretty much the baby hair. It did come pre-plucked, but it's definitely not enough for my liking. So I just go in and kind of thin it out. There's really no rhyme or reason how I do the baby hair. I just want it super thin. And you can see the left side is where I tweeze and the right side is where I haven't touched. A huge difference. Some might say this is going to look bald, but when I separate the baby hair and you see how much it is, you can see that this even needs to be tweezed a little bit more. But just take your time. You go side from side, you know, part it, do different things to it just to step back and look at it and make sure that you don't have any bald spots and that, you know, it's looking good. You would rather have too much, you know, hair than not enough and just be bald. Sorry about that. DHL is delivering some more hair if you heard that doorbell. But anyways, you just continue to thin it out. The baby hair is not necessarily, there's not really a pattern for how you tweeze your baby hair. You just want to make it thinner. So if there's 1,000, you know, strands of hair or 100 strands of hair in your baby hair section, you want to thin that out to maybe 25% of that, if that makes any sense. So take your time, go super slow. I'm trying not to speed up the video too much so that you guys can see visually what I'm doing, because sometimes it is hard to explain. But, you know, brush the hair back, step back, look at it in a bigger mirror, you know, look at it in different lighting. Sometimes when I take a picture of my hair and I look at it, that gives me a better image than actually looking at it in the mirror. I don't know why. But in my mind, I thought, okay, this is thin enough. If I go thinner, I'm going to be bald. So I'm going to separate the baby hair. Since I told you before that this is going to be my baby hair section, I'm going to go ahead and separate it and start making the baby hair just to see if this really is thin enough. And after I go ahead and form my baby hair, we are going to be working on the hair, the hairline of the remainder of the hair so that it's not so full and it's not so boxy. So stay tuned for that. So I got a fresh razor, a fresh tweezers are things that you should buy often. Usually you can keep, you know, your stuff for a while, but the moment you realize that it's starting to get dull, you replace it. The one that I'm using comes from the beauty supply store. I believe Sally's has them as well for $2. Now, I finally got a fresh bottle of foam lotion. You guys know I've been without for the last couple of weeks. Finally, I got some. I'm trying the one from Elastic QP. I'm sure I've had this one before, like a while back, but it's been a minute. I kind of buy a different brand every single time I buy it, and so far, I feel like they all have the same, you know, the same purpose, and they do the same things, so to speak. So I'm just thinning it out. I cut all of the hair in the baby hair to be about maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch long. The reason I'm using a razor opposed to scissors is just because I don't want it to be a blunt cut across. Now I'm going to use this edge booster. It's kind of like an edge control. As you can see, it's clear, like a clear gel. And I'm going to just go ahead and swoop my baby hair. Now you will have to move it because the lace is still on and you're going to have to move it back to go ahead and cut the lace off. But there's nothing like seeing exactly what it's going to look like. So I'm using this edge booster and I like it because it lays my edges super good, but it doesn't like cement them down too much to the point that they're like glued down. And so far I have not noticed any flakiness. So it's a winner in my book this far. But me going ahead and doing this practice run with my edges, I can go ahead and trim off anything I left off, tweeze more hair. I can pretty much see exactly what it's supposed to look like when it's all said and done. And then also, as I always tell you guys, the first time that you form your baby hair is not necessarily to slay, but more so to train the hair to go in the shape that you want it to. And I'm pleased with what I have. So now we're going to tweeze going backwards. Now I really want you guys to pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm tweezing a space, then leaving a space. Tweezing a space, leaving a space. When you really look and pay attention to what I'm doing, you're going to see it's going to be like a gap of hair that's not tweezed, a gap that's equally thick of hair that has been tweezed, a gap of hair that is not tweezed, a gap of hair that is tweezed, and it's kind of just going to be like hair, no hair, hair, no hair, hair, no hair. And that's the best way I can explain it. This is just kind of the the original way. You guys see that? It's like hair gap, hair gap, hair gap, hair gap. And I do that literally all the way across from ear to ear. This is the original way I personally was taught to tweeze a hairline. And it just breaks up that hairline so that it does not look boxy like what we're used to. It looks a little bit more natural. But after you do this step, it's like you go and you do that all the way across. You kind of brush it out, comb it out, step back to see what it looks like. And then you can go back from there and like kind of customize it even more. But this is just literally a standard routine way to thin out your hairline and not have it look boxy without having it look, you know, crazy. Now for me, I find that when I do my left side, which is your left side or your right side that you're looking at, basically the opposite side of this, I do it so flawlessly. But when I get to this side of my face, for some reason, it's just like it doesn't, the way I have to hold my hand is awkward. So I don't slay as good as I do on the other side. And I'm pretty sure you guys have a side that you do better than the other side, just like with your eyebrows or, you know, anything else. So I kind of have to take my time because I'm a little bit, you know, like remedial on this side and do the best I can without making it bald. But if I'm going to make any side bald or mess up, it's usually this side of my face. You see, it's not coming out the amazing way the center did or the opposite did, but I just have to roll with it because for some reason I can never get it right on this side, no matter how much I practice. But you see, since I told you it's like, you know, hair space, you kind of see, kind of looks like teeth or something. But when I brush it out, it's going to look so good. And if it looks too uniform, kind of don't necessarily go in that specific pattern. Just keep that technique in mind. Now I'm going to go ahead and brush it out. Usually I'll brush it out really, really good. Like brush this side, pull out all the hair that comes out. Brush that side, pull out the hair, and do it one or two more times. And this will pull out all of the excess hair that you tweezed. Remember, when you're tweezing backwards. So when you pull a strand of hair out, essentially it goes into the remainder of the hair and you have to brush that out. Now I pretty much messed up my work for my baby hair. I pulled all the hair, including the baby hair, back so that I can cut the lace and see what I'm doing. Now I don't recommend, if you're a beginner, that you cut the lace while your baby hair is swooped. But if you want to each his own. Now you can kind of see how thin and natural the hairline looks. If this is too thin for you, feel free to do less. If it's not thin enough, feel free to do more. All of this is based on preference, and literally everybody has a different preference. So take what you can and learn what you can from this video, and also put your own twist to it. Like when I watch these types of tutorials, I always like to see other people's techniques and take what I can and learn what I can from that person, but also keep in mind my personal style and my personal preference. Now with the baby hair on the sideburns, it kind of gets a little bit tricky because you want to make sure that the lace kind of cuffs and swoops around your ear perfectly if it's big. So if it's already, you know, the perfect size, you don't cut. But because this was longer than my ear, I had to go around and like cut the back to go perfectly around my ear, and then still have the sideburns in the front. Sometimes I like really long sideburns like today. But sometimes I make them really short, like above my jawline. Again, about preference. Now I'm going to take that same powder that I used in the parting, or no, I'm sorry, not in the parting, but on the opposite side when I buffed the powder in, and kind of literally stipple it into the hairline. For some reason, whenever I do my hairline and add the powder, it looks super light, but it's the same powder in that parting. And as you see, it's the same powder, but it looks like it's two different colors. I don't know why that is, but you want to put a lot because you want this to kind of cover up those knots since you did not bleach your knots. So put a lot, like, you know, lay it on there. Don't be afraid to kind of lay it because you don't want to be able to see that grid from the lace, and you don't want to see those black dots. Now you may think, oh my God, this looks like it's too much. You're going to use your finger to buff out a little bit of it. And then by the time you brush the hair out, form your baby hair, put a scarf on, all the different things you're going to do, it's going to naturally buff out. But you won't be able to see knots and you won't be able to see that grid. Now at this point, I'm ready to roll. I like the way this looks. I honestly don't need baby hair. The texture of the hair is super soft, beautiful, gorgeous without adding any product. I haven't done anything but brush the remainder of the hair. And you see how it's parted like this?
What are you doing, girl? I was trying to put this down.
It's not perfect, it's fine. You gotta hold it, like you gotta, don't be scared.
Is it supposed to show?
Just do as straight as you can and then give it to me. You feel like you're not in the middle, bruh.
I am in the middle.
5 hours later.
Look at this work. Look at this work. Boom. Look at that. Shit.
It's really straight? You said shit. I feel like it's like over here. It's supposed to be like, I'm gonna help you guys. Now clean that up.
Oh, this is hard. This is harder than I thought.
Yeah. It's rocket science.
It's rocket science.
It's actual rocket science.
It's hard for the first time.
I know, that's why they call it rocket science. Now I tried to get Bay to go ahead and help me show you guys the back. Hopefully you guys seen a quick clip of the full lace wig and how that parting looks so flawless. Add powder to that if you want it to blend in with the front. I took some Blast Freeze spray. I have it linked down below. And I just went ahead and put it all along my hairline right in front of my actual hair or baby hair. I let it sit there for maybe about 3 to 5 minutes and kind of just let it air dry, and then I covered the top of it or sat the lace on top of it, and I'm just going in and like pressing it in until it's completely dry. This is going to melt the lace into my hairline a little bit more naturally without having to use Got to Be Glued or Gold Spawn or anything else. Literally is the simplest, cleanest, easiest way to melt your lace in and have your hairline or the lace closure or frontal stick to your hairline for the next 2, 3, sometimes even 4 days. Now look how amazing this hair is. It hasn't been touched by any heat, any product, and it is like so silky and beautiful and flawless. This is definitely vacation hair. I kind of want this to be my birthday hair, but I kind of just want to leave it in now. So I did use a scarf to go ahead and press the hair, the hairline down even more. I left it on for about an hour. And then I went to pick up some dinner at some Costco's. So this is like maybe an hour or 2 later. I wanted to go ahead and style the hair, but I didn't want to manipulate the hair as far as the texture goes. Yes, this is straight hair, so manipulating the texture isn't really a big deal. But I just liked it natural. And sometimes that looks really good, you know what I mean? So I wanted to do these really, really cute French braids, but I'm not going to just leave them as tight French braids. I actually want them to be as loose and as messy as I can get them. And I'm going to show you why in just a moment. But for now, all you do when you want to make your French braids bigger is just pull them apart, literally. Literally just pull them apart. You can add bobby pins inside, you know, if you want it to lay a certain way, if you pull it a bit too much out. Don't be afraid to have fun with your hairstyles. Okay, so the purpose of this video was to teach you guys how to slay your edges. Super quick, easy, and beginner friendly. Now this here can definitely be slayed even more. It's all about preference when it comes to this. If you are a beginner, I would not worry so much about slaying it, you know, like your favorite celebrity, and more so just making sure it looks good and not too wiggy. I decided to do some really cute French braids and just kind of pull them apart. But let's focus on the hairline and the parting. This is a full lace wig, so you are able to part it any way you want. So again, don't forget to check out Diva Wigs. I have all the information on this wig in the description bar for you to check out. About to take some little slow-mos, some cute little pictures because I'm obviously feeling myself. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.